Hey, welcome to Oddly Coded, where the scariest thing we can think of is an unfinished AAA title for $70. But fear not, because today we're talking about horror games. And ironically,
some spooky music.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Halloween is coming up.
Halloween is around the corner.
Halloween was 2 days ago.
That's the perfect time for you to talk about horror games, Steej.
Exactly.
It's not scary
because it's
anymore.
after. It's not scary anymore.
Time is cyclical. Halloween is coming up.
I am the most ironic person to be hosting this episode because out of the four people here, I am the least likely to play any horror game for any reason. But that being said, that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we do that, I would like to present to you, the listener, the subscriber of the week. Last week, we were talking about overrated and underrated games. We got onto Destiny 2 a little bit, which I don't know the first freaking thing about, but we have a couple people that do. And so this week's subscriber of the week is going to be our friend Always Zesty, also goes by Q. And he said, I attempted to get back into Destiny 2 about a year ago. I lasted about 2 days and dipped. And then he also said that he was also extremely disappointed by Undertale. So yeah,
it lasted longer than you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Stamina.
I actually responded to him with our account and I said Steej lasted about 3 minutes, but he's used to that.
Let's go, dude.
But
I hadn't read that yet. I've been focusing on TikTok.
Sex.
Yeah. But yes, so Q, or in this case, Always Zesty, thank you for your comment and thank you for being this week's subscriber of the week. Horror games, friends. Let's start off with the fact that yes, I do not play them. I have tried to play them.
It's okay.
Most notably, whenever I was streaming consistently, I once tried to play Slender the Arrival on stream, which if you don't know, just to catch you up, so you know that old game Slenderman that was like, it was like a Flash game, or it might not have been Flash, but it was like that kind of
It was
game.
definitely it was
a
game
browser
based
game
off a story.
Yeah, it was a browser game, and basically you had to go through this dark forest with nothing but a flashlight, and you were finding these like little notes or pictures on trees before the Slender Man could find you. And there was a lot of like jump scares. You turn around, he'd be like looming in the background or whatever. And then you ended up dying anyway. Sorry, spoiler alert. So in Slender the Arrival,
that does suck. In
Slender the Arrival, it was supposed to be like an actual like a successor to that, and actually have like a storyline.
Yep.
Basically, there was supposed to be a storyline to it. You were playing a character. You go to your friend's house in the middle. They're like in the middle of the woods, basically. Of course they are. Conveniently in the middle of the woods, but you go and like the door's like half open and you go in and it's dark and no one's there. And you're looking around the house and like freaky shit's already happening, but nothing like super crazy. You leave the house. You're already like the hair's standing on the back of your neck. At least mine was the entire time. You have to go down into the woods for some reason. And you go to this, you make your way to this like burned out house. That's like, you know, maybe, I don't know, 1,000 feet away from the house you were at. Yep. And I remember I got all the way there, on edge the entire time. Nothing has even happened yet. There's been like little like you're using a video camera, like your first person view is like a video camera like view, and every so often there will be like flickers and stuff on the screen of like images, like just real quick, but it like freaks you out, right?
Certain little scares here and there.
Yeah, just like little things here and there. But you make your way down to this house. No big jump scares or anything have happened yet. You go into the house. There's like this kind of a cutscene type thing where you're like seeing a flashback or something. I turn around. I look into, like, in order to go back out the door of the house, I have to go past another room. I turn just a little bit. I see that there is something standing in the room there, and I go,
remember that.
Tall and slender like.
No, it wasn't Slenderman. It was something else,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I looked into the lore of the game a little bit, and I want to talk about why I would even look into the lore. But I'll get
because you'll never play the
for
game.
this shit.
Yeah, exactly. So just I'll get there. So yeah, there's just this like creature like standing there, and I go nope, and I pause the game. I have somewhat of a mental breakdown for the next 3 to 5 minutes, and I say, sorry guys, this isn't gonna happen today. I turn off my stream. I message my Discord assuring everyone I'm doing just fine and I'll be okay. And yeah, I have never touched. I refunded the game immediately.
I was gonna say, yeah, I remember
I had just bought it that day, and so I refunded it immediately. The joke I like to make.
What was it, like a Korak?
No, it was actually it was like a burned corpse that was alive, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was like fucking doing the scary wiggling that things do down the hallway. You know what I'm talking about?
I think he was just standing still.
Maybe I played PT too much.
But I'm absolutely sure that if I had taken like even a measly like half a step forward, I was about to get like crazy jump scared. Yeah. It was like literal mere milliseconds before I was probably about to get fucking jumped. So the joke that I like to make is that I probably got through about 10 minutes of content in the game, and it took me about 30 minutes to get to that point because I was going through the game so slowly.
That's how horror games get you. They don't put that much content into the game because they know that you're going to be tiptoeing along and creeping along and taking your time.
Yeah.
But that is a mechanic of all horror where you are building anticipation, which is that's one of the things that I like to kind of look at whenever I am doing anything with horror I like to look a little bit with a little bit more of a meta sense of like, hey, how did they make this? Like what was going through their mind when they were designing this? And taking that into account and appreciating that is one of the things that I love the most about horror games. I wouldn't say I like feeling scared. I like how I feel after I felt scared.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it's okay. I was just freaked out. Yeah.
I'm chilling.
It's like, I'm fine.
Already.
I think there are like 3,000 demons outside of my house right now, but
I also know that they aren't there.
Something could be waiting on the other side of my door, but you know what? I got myself a Capri Sun. Yeah. We're chilling.
There you go.
I didn't like horror for a really, really long time until I started watching it. And I'm going to bring him up again, my cousin Aaron. I started watching some horror movies with my cousin, and then we would like make a game out of like scaring each other.
Oh, God.
Of course.
There was one time, I don't know if we were actually watching a horror movie that night, but there was one time I hid under like the table, like so there's like a hallway and then there's a table and then there's like his room. And I hid under the table and I waited for so long for him to like walk by, and
he
only
played
him.
The long game.
I had one person in mind, and I had that. I waited long enough that I had to pee.
You're like, no, this is gonna be worth it.
I'm committing to it.
I have to commit to this.
I'll be fine. He walks by. I reach out and I grab his leg. I just kind of I just give him just like a random noise, like something that like after you think about it and like why would I ever be scared of that noise? He grabs me and he pulls me out from under the table and he just starts hitting me in the leg. He's like I know who you are, but I can't hit you. And I am just laughing. It doesn't hurt at all. It doesn't hurt at all because I'm just laughing my ass off so hard. And I peed a little.
No,
just a little.
A little bit, just a
little bit of it came out.
He saved the rest for the toilet, I guess.
Just enough for it to feel right.
I'm pretty sure I got there eventually.
Yeah. To sell it, enough to sell it,
just to sell it. I've always found that so for me, the crazy thing about how I approach horror is I will not play games. I will not watch like videos or movies or anything like that. But I'm still morbidly curious. I am still intrigued by it.
That's okay.
So I would not play the Slender the Arrival game. I would not play Slender the Arrival. But you bet your ass, like a week later, I was at work and it was like a really slow night. And I went to Wikipedia and I was just like, what happens in this game? Yeah, and I just read through the entire thing and I'm just like, wow, I would have shit myself.
It's kind of like playing it is kind of stupid. as opposed to like reading about it. Like I'm sure it worded it a lot different than it was as you played it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is just like exploring with scary stuff happening.
Yeah.
Big scary level with boss.
Yeah.
And then you go right back into exploring with a little bit of scary shit, and then a guy shows up, and then he's not there anymore. And then everything's on fire at the end,
Yeah.
and then it all gets put out by itself, and the guy's just standing there. He's just like, hey, you won.
Good job.
I love that idea of taking a video game and then just describing it really badly, especially a horror game. Because
listen,
so much of it, like I feel like you couldn't really write down necessarily. I mean,
half of them are like that, though.
Yeah,
I'm just absolutely intrigued by horror, but I don't want to feel the sensation of being terrified.
This is
like,
why I
look up the story of Amnesia.
I probably have.
One.
Oh,
for me, it's mostly it's not necessarily like. First off, I fucking hate jump scares, whether it's in a game or movie. Not because I'm scared of them.
Cheap.
It's cheap. It's horrible. They never get me, and it's like, all right, if that's what this was building up to, you.
Oh, they get me.
Very much just wasted my time.
right there with you.
I find it hard to believe they never get you.
They don't get me in the sense that I was scared of the jump scare. They get me in the sense of like it's normal human reaction for me to like be taken by surprise by something. But like,
what the fuck?
But you don't find any joy in it.
It wasn't out of fear. It was out of surprise.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more the feeling of like helplessness. If you're playing like Resident Evil 2 or specifically, or Resident Evil 3, even like you have this enemy like the Nemesis or Mr. X that you can't kill. Like you can't kill in the moment as he's chasing you around the map, and you're just like, fuck, I have all this ammunition, I have healing, but I still need to avoid him. He is perpetually chasing me.
It's like the Alien in Alien Isolation.
And see what Alien Isolation even does really well is that they had a setting where you can turn it on and off. So if you wanted to play with the setting, you could turn it off, and it actually worked. But if you turned it on, if I moved my water bottle on my desk, the game would pick it up, and the alien would react and hear it. And think that like because I was moving something on my desk, like he now knows where I am in game. But you can obviously turn that off if you don't want that kind of immersion.
That gave
wild.
me a really good idea.
That's kind of cool.
Actually.
But Alien Isolation is another one of those examples where like you know who your enemy is. You know you are vastly underpowered against your enemy. And you have to use your environment. You have to hide. You have to like. You can't just brute force it or gun down your way through.
Yeah,
that's the kind of horror that I really enjoy.
What's up, Dan? What you got?
Him mentioning like sound based scary games, like sound based like mechanics. Have y'all ever seen an indie game that is all the way based on that, to where the enemy can hear noises made by your microphone? It's a game by the name of Are You Okay?
Like, Are You Okay?
Yes.
No.
This is a indie horror game in which you are chased down by a creepy, deformed, creepypasta-ass looking version of Michael Jackson.
Oh, I've heard of that. Oh my god.
And it is see, that's the thing. That's the only noise he makes. But it's distorted enough to where it's just like he's like barely able to get it out. Oh. And like if he hears something, you could be like, and he'll fucking run to your location.
Yeah.
You could be underneath a table. And you just do like a, hey, fuck you! And he comes over. He's just like,
he moonwalks to your location.
There's a mechanic.
He even kneels down to look under shit.
No, thank you.
God,
I'm good.
No, that's Alien Isolation in Luigi's Mansion with Michael Jackson. Okay,
yeah, no, it's a constant like struggle because he's constantly vibrating too.
Yeah,
like this man is so jittery.
That's a big mood.
He is
I think
super jittery.
I might need to play this one.
God,
I've never played it, but I've watched a couple of videos of it where the guy's just like, "Ow, fuck you!" and he's underneath the table, and the guy comes up, and Michael Jackson comes over, and he's just like,
Annie, are you okay?
with the fucking like big ass like cheek to cheek smile on his face.
Oh God, no thanks.
man.
I'm good.
I feel
And
like
he
I've
just
seen
stares him
solid.
down.
I've heard of
screenshots
this.
of
Down.
that. I think
Yeah.
I've seen
No.
screenshots of that. It sounds
He
really
stares
familiar.
him down, walks back up, and skitters away because he was just like, "Hey, oh, fuck you!"
Yeah.
Just covered up all the mic sound, and he just
Wow.
goes away. Just goes away. I don't
so
know
it's
the point of
purely
that game.
sound based.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh,
it's
wow.
entirely sound based, and it's just through your microphone.
So
might
like he
even-
can't even
there-
see you.
That might even be where Alien Isolation got the idea from.
Maybe.
depending on when they came out, I don't know.
Yeah.
Alien Isolation came out way
Yeah, that's-
before this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was a mechanic that utilized your microphone in Phasmophobia. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
played that one. I did not do that one a whole lot. I died a lot.
I never really understood it. I never really understood what to do. Really, like I
Yeah, that
understand
was
it's
the
just
thing.
supposed to
That was a
go-
problem with that game is that it wasn't very good at explaining what was going on. So you'd have to like look things up and figure it out. One of the reasons that I specifically got it, and I haven't actually played it in VR yet, but I got it because I wanted to play it in VR, and it's also
This
like cross.
VR.
Yes, I can play that in VR. So if you guys have
Fuck
that,
that.
not you, Steej. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do that.
Yeah, no, no.
Wait, actually, you
I
know
do
what?
not.
Wait, hold on. You are safe in the van. You are completely safe in the van. So
I've
if
heard
you
that.
just
I've
stay in
heard
the
that.
van
Okay.
and
Yeah.
we can just like
heard that.
radio into you or something, that
Yeah.
could be fun. And I'll just be
Maybe.
the one in VR.
Maybe that could be fun.
It's an idea.
As long as I'm guaranteed to be like completely away from
Yeah.
like
Listen,
the
man.
little ghouls aren't gonna make their way outside and be like, hey, what's
Honestly-
this van doing here?
Ice cream truck.
2 scoops, please.
I can do some more research, but I can find out. I'm pretty sure they just stay in the house. So as long as you don't go in the house, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's where they're pissed at. Outside is
Yeah.
their happy place.
Yeah. They're just trying to go outside.
Well, yeah,
That's why the
Yeah.
door's wide open and all that.
That's why they say get out all the time, is because they want to go outside.
No, and that's understandable. Like
Yeah, it's understandable.
like Matt was saying, it was hard to figure out like what to do really, because anytime that I would ever play it with anybody, because you gotta play this with friends, you
Yeah,
cannot
yes.
play this shit alone. Like I mean, it's possible, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
Because it was also the one that kind of kickstarted the whole proximity chat craze.
These are around the
yeah,
same
yeah.
time, yeah. Like the proximity
And
chat and that, and
that
it
was-
Among
came
Us.
to Among Us, yeah.
Yeah.
That made
Also
it
a
kinda,
horror game. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Kinda.
kind of.
but not
When-
really.
Can be.
Like games like Phasmophobia, I see. I'm into horror games for the immersion aspect. Like how much
I
can
get
you
that.
make me actually feel the fear? How many?
Well-
how much can you actually? So like with Phasmophobia, the more people you have involved, it breaks that immersion for me. Like it doesn't matter. Like when I buy the new Resident Evil, when I buy the Dead Space remake, when I'm playing any of those games, like I'm waiting until nighttime. I'm shutting the blinds. Like the lights are off. Ashley's in the other room. Like I am making it so like I'm kind of making myself
He's in-
afraid
he's
to
in
be
a
alone at
spooky
home
room.
at night.
Yeah.
Like, I want to add that extra layer to it, and if I'm Phasmophobia doesn't allow me to do that.
I get that.
If you're open to it, I think it would be fun to try. And if you are also open to doing it as more of like a role play scenario, I don't know if you can get into that mindset or not, but I mean, I'm going to be completely immersed. So,
I just love making fun of the ghost while I'm in there.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing is you can say like, "Hey, Charles." Did they call you Charlie Brown in high school? You dingus.
Is it because he shit himself?
In high school, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why he died. He died
Yeah.
of embarrassment.
They called him Charlie
Yeah.
Brown Pants.
What do you think that tire track across his shirt is?
It's shit.
They don't call them tire tracks, or what was it, skid marks, for a reason.
Skid marks.
Ugh.
Skid McMarks. Oh my
Skid-
god.
Skid McMuffin.
No,
What?
you guys.
What do you- what do
this
you
is a
have?
complete derailment of the conversation. I just,
I can
I
feel it
just
going.
fucking
What's-
realized you guys have played Ratchet and Clank, right?
Yeah.
I just realized the fucking like pro skaters dude's name is Skid McMarks.
Yeah, dude.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
remember that.
I just realized
It's been a while.
that it's a joke about skid marks.
It's
No,
been
it's
over
okay.
a decade since I've played
And the
that
game
so-
came
That's
out
fine.
over a decade ago, and I'm
It's
just
okay.
more than a decade.
No,
Probably like
that's
15
probably like
years ago.
That was the first one, right?
Because I was a kid. I was a kid whenever that came out.
Fuck, dude.
So, and I'm 28.
It's okay.
No, I played it late. I played it about a decade ago.
Skid McMarks. I
And
just
don't
got
remember
that
at all.
here in the middle of us recording a podcast about horror games.
It's okay.
Ratchet and Clank came out in 2002.
2002. I was 7.
decades.
PlayStation 2.
Oh God.
That's the same year as the GameCube and the OG Xbox.
I barely was able to form cohesive thoughts.
And speaking of the GameCube, Lyle, thank you for transitioning back into our topic. It was really funny one time. I think it was like maybe the first or second episode of this. Matt tried to tell me that because I've played Luigi's Mansion, that it should get me into horror games.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion is a horror premise. It is not a horror game.
It's
I think it's. I would agree. It's spooky
It's
themed.
cartoon spooky.
It's spooky themed.
It's
unless
spooky
you're
themed.
unless you're genuinely
It's got jump
have like
scares. Also,
not really.
Also, it's in third person. So
wait,
I'm not
so would you play a horror game if it was
Okay.
in third person?
No, not necessarily. What I'm saying is it's a combination of the fact that it's in third person and it's also like it's cartoony spooky and in third person. Because honestly, I don't even know if I would play cartoony spooky if it was in first person. It's the combination of the two things that makes me love the game or makes me even want to play the game. It's just like, oh, okay, this is great. And I like Luigi. He's cool.
I think that horror games, honestly, any horror, but since we're talking about video games, I think there is a spectrum, and I would say it is within horror, but it is all the way to the not scary side.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just because like it's horror themed or spooky themed doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't fall under the umbrella of horror.
That's
I
fair.
would even say that the oh, hold on, did you play Mario 64?
Yes.
Sorry,
a
not you.
long time ago.
Not you, Lyle.
Bro, that game is
But yeah.
uncanny valley
Well,
as fuck.
But you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about here. The booze and the booze mansion where you like jump down into like the little cage thingy, and that's like spooky. But that section of Mario 64 is scarier than anything that is in Luigi's Mansion.
Maybe I didn't get that far.
It's a little weird because I mean they did with what they could.
I was
going to
say it was very much a limitation.
They were trying to make it unsettling, and the simplicity of it really sold that.
It really the whole vibe
this
of Mario
wasn't
64.
the first time they've done it before either.
Dude, that fucking piano.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
The fucking piano.
I wanted
oh
to know
God.
what Steej thought about the piano.
I don't know if I know about the piano.
Oh, I think we should.
Okay.
I think we should not tell him and make him play it.
Yep. Well, now he knows to look out for a piano in the boo level.
I've heard of
Narrows
the
it down.
piano. I've heard of
You've probably
the piano.
seen. There was a meme that went around
Little does
a
he
while
know, it's
ago
actually
that
the
was
haunted
like.
harpsichord.
It was like it's like I don't have PTSD.
You'll
What are you
never know.
talking about? And then and then it shows you a picture of the piano, and then and then it's just like and then it goes. It's like a freaked out Mario or something. It's just like,
Man, even the start select screen of Mario 64 where you can just kind of drag
where you
his
just, like,
eye out.
oh, I thought you were talking about how creepy it was, like when you pause it and it just like all of the music stops and it's just like bit. I always found that really unsettling. But yeah, no,
Or if you
the
delete a
pause.
save file, Mario dies.
I think no. Wait, I want to visit that, Matt. I want to visit that real quick because I think that is one of. We've talked about this before. We talked about this only a few episodes ago. The use of silence in the fact that the fact that can be so potent of a method of horror or just terror, or I guess that's not terror, but you know what I mean.
Instilling fear and unsettlingness.
Yeah. To the point where you're playing a completely non-horror game and just the pure silence after being like dealing with like having a soundtrack the entire time, just silence met with it's unsettling.
Yeah, it's taking your immersion and immediately kind of like ripping you into a new vibe entirely.
You know what other game does that really well?
What's that, Lyle?
Undertale.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, because you'll be in an area with like light jovial music, and then you'll have a boss fight that was epic, and then after the boss fight, you'll return to that area that has the jovial music, and then you come to this long hallway, and then the music just stops, and you have a long hallway for a good like 30 seconds, and it like there's stuff in the
That's at the
background.
end of the hallway.
There might be like a new text box from like enemies that you've already killed talking to you, saying some things, and then you move on and there's still no music, and you're just like, what is this like building up to? Or like,
Yeah.
am I about to enter into something else at this point? Like it is a shift or a gear change in just in the attitude overall.
That is what, and you know what? I think that, and I have not played Undertale, like I said in the last episode, but I think whenever you have a game with such simplistic like assets, like art, like pixel art, things like that, the use of basically like finding very creative ways like that to get your point across or to make the player feel a certain thing, that it's genius. Honestly, that is genius. And it's just like that they made that part of the gameplay where it's just like, yeah, we don't have, our characters. I mean, the pixel art's kind of cool, but it's also relatively simplistic.
You have to use your imagination to kind of fill in the blanks a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what
and they're counting
makes
on that.
The negative space.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're creating the negative space and you have to fill it in. And more than likely you're going to fill it in with what the fuck is going on. And it's going to freak you out a little bit and cause the tone change, which is really cool.
Just in the off chance, internet, that is not me saying that Undertale is a horror game. That's just me bringing up an example of negative space usage. Yeah.
I mean, there can be some thrillerish topics or horror topics within it.
Whenever I think of
that mindset.
Whenever I think of, and once this is me going off topic again, but the use of silence in like a more simplistic, like art style kind of game, and it's not a horror game, but I don't know if they do it in every Pokemon game, but a piece of nostalgia that'll always be with me is the fight right before you fight the champion, Dragon Tamer Lance, the champion in Gen 2. At least Gen 2. They probably do it in more gens, but like whenever you walk in, it just the music is gone. Like it's like epic music because you're at the Elite Four, but you walk in and the music just like fades out, and then he talks to you.
Didn't
like
they do that in Gen 1 when you like right before you fought Gary?
Probably. Yes. Yeah. I'm saying they probably do that in a lot, but you it's completely silent. Whenever you walk in, you walk up, he says a couple lines to you. It's completely silent, and then he says, "All right, let's go." And like the Pokeball thing pops up on the screen, and all it does is the dun 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 dun, and like the chills that I get just thinking about that, and like you guys are saying, and it's not horror in this case, but the use of that negative space where it's just like the anticipation, and then they hit you with that like final battle theme as Lance goes across the screen and you go across the screen, and it's just like
it's even
champion
more,
Lance wants to battle, and it's like, oh, it's so good.
It's even more like prevalent, especially in Gen 2, on top of Mount Moon.
Yeah.
After everything is done.
Fighting Red.
And it's
Mount
fucking...
Silver. Mount Silver.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's quiet as shit up there. Fog is everywhere. You gotta move a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
Man doesn't even say anything.
Yes.
You get 3 dots, and he's just like, all right, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But you can still see his sprite, and you're like, wait, he's wearing a red ball cap.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no Pokemon going up this mountain. Why is there a Poke Center at the bottom? Oh god. What is up there? They do that for big moments.
There's your level 88 Pikachu.
Yeah.
For sure. They do that for really big moments. A lot of legendary fights they do that for. Specifically like Gen 4, they did it for Giratina. And Giratina's creepy as fuck to begin with.
Yeah. I like Giratina a lot.
Sexy bastard.
In the pixely version of the game that Gen 4 is in, like Diamond and Pearl, like they're kind of getting into 3D, but not quite there. You're getting into like this distortion world where everything's upside down and you can go on top of like
Platinum
walls.
is
and all
such a
sorts of
good
shit.
game.
It is. And then you get to this little hole. Or you get to this little hole that you got to drop down. You're on a platform, and he's there, but completely shrouded in black.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I'm fighting Satan. Forgot. Thanks, Pokemon.
I mean, it's basically
good.
Pokemon Satan, yeah.
Because other than the box art, until you actually fight him, that's the first time you actually like see what Giratina looks like.
Yeah. You don't really know anything.
Yeah. Yeah, Pokemon does that negative space. I mean, at least the earlier games, whenever it was more simple graphics and stuff.
If we're talking Pokemon, I apologize to continue on the tangent, but
I was about to switch back, but please, what were you going to say?
If we're talking Pokemon and horror games, then why the hell have we not brought up Lavender Town yet?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was actually about to bring that up. That's like one of the few Pokemon things that I can actually talk about.
Yeah,
but I was gonna ask how Steej dealt with it, because I mean I remember playing it on Red and Yellow.
Yeah.
I don't think
Red, Blue, and Yellow were worse. Yeah. Like as far as the actual
they were
music.
real creepy.
Because there was that whole theory, right, or that creepypasta or whatever it was, where they were like, there was a certain tone in the music that made kids in Japan unalive themselves.
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
It was a big deal, and I mean, obviously, it was proven to not be a thing, but it's still. It was. I think that's a testament to how creepy it was.
It's also just imagine you're a kid playing this game. When did this game came out? 94, something like that.
Yeah, I think 94, comes out. Pretty sure.
You just get this game for Christmas and you're having a great old time. You make it to Lavender Town and you're just like, okay, my Pokemon can only faint. I can always take them back to the Pokemon Center later and heal them up. And if all of my Pokemon faint, then it's just gonna send me there while taking a little bit of my money. Go to the tower in Lavender Town. Pokemon are actually fucking dead.
I mean, Cubone and it wearing its mother's fucking skull.
Isn't Cubone like a Charmander?
That's one of those paradoxes. Yeah, because they're people will say that Cubone is Charmander, but then Cubone is its own thing, just wearing the skull of a dead Marowak.
Yep,
like its dead mother.
I thought Cubone originally was supposed to have some kind of crossover with Kangaskhan.
See, that's what I was gonna say. It's like a different variant of Kangaskhan. Yeah. But my issue is if a Cubone is born, does that mean that its mom has that fate? Because it needs that mask.
Yeah, that is one of those weird
Pokemon that's one of those things where it's just we had to make the Pokemon.
Where does Machoke get the belt?
So it's just a theory.
He fights for it. What do you mean?
A game theory.
I wasn't going there, but yeah.
Okay.
It is just a theory that it is with the Kangaskhan. Mm-hmm. But we've never actually seen a Cubone's true face.
Right.
But it does wear the skull of its dead mom.
Do you guys know about the if we're just gonna continue on the Pokemon, but with slight horror vibes kind of thing? There is, I think it's Pokemon Sword and X and Y. Pokemon X and Y. You go into not my favorite Pokemon games, but you one of the buildings that you go into, and it's a completely random thing that happens. Mm-hmm. You go into one of the office buildings. You go up onto one of the floors, and whenever you go into the room or the floor, you're coming in from the top of the screen, right? Mm-hmm. There is a woman whose sprite comes from behind you and just passes through you and moves across the screen, and she's staying completely still. I know people listening not watching can't see it, but she's basically just this, and she's floating,
skating.
Fucking T-posing through
so it wasn't a design. It wasn't a design choice made by it's a glitch that happens sometimes randomly in the game.
No, it is.
It's designed that way?
It's, from what I understand, as far as I can tell, it's supposed to be this little Easter egg thing, that floor is haunted or something.
Oh, fuck
and
that.
It's just this random creepy ass shit that
happens. I
happens.
love that, actually.
Where she just comes from behind you, she fades through you, and then moves a little bit, and then kind of just goes off the screen, and they never say anything about it. There's no other reference to it as far as I know. There's literally nothing else in the building that's saying oh yeah, there's been a ghost haunting these halls for a while. Mm-hmm. Nothing. It's just this random creepy ass thing where whenever it happens, and the sprite, the
nobody's
woman's
gonna believe
sprite,
me.
Well, the woman's sprite is also it's a sprite of like one of the ghost type trainers who they already look like a little creeper. They're called like mediums or something. So they already look like a little creepy, like they have that vibe to them. And so it's one of them. And so just it's completely silent, or maybe there's music going on, and just she passes through you, goes off the screen, and then nothing else happens the entire game to reference that at all, and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Is that the last time that they've done something like that?
I don't know.
At least up into the modern era, because I would love for the next Pokemon game to have something like that, but it's just way more jarring. Like you go into, it's set in Pokemon New York City. You go into a Poke alleyway, and
there's a Poke homeless man.
Yeah, no. There's a guy. There's a guy that fades through the bar. He T-poses through the bars like the chain link fence, and he comes up to you. You interact with him, and the 3 dots show up, and then he just stabs you.
And it's Missingo.
Yeah. Listen, Nintendo, you've been playing it way too safe with your Pokemon games. You need to make a horror Pokemon game. Edgy. An edgy horror Pokemon, just nothing but ghost types. It's Ghost World, and it's just all of the dead Pokemon. You've made a whole. You could do it. I mean, you have enough Pokemon already. Just make dead versions of them and make them extra
using
creepy.
A gun in the anime.
Because 2 versions: Pokemon Heaven and Hell.
Oh yeah, perfect. There you go.
And then just like your special
ghosts and the bad ghosts,
just like your yellow edition, you get Pokemon Purgatory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nintendo, they don't do that anymore. They don't even do that anymore.
Come on, let's do it, because I can probably get Steej to play that one, because it's not a horror game. It's not a horror game, and then you'll get into it, and then like it'll just we'll build some tension. You won't be able to see the big bad, and then like your mind's gonna play tricks on you and make you think that the big bad's even bigger and badder than he actually is. And then suddenly when you reveal the big bad, he's not quite as big and bad, but then there's a bigger bad. Then there's a better bigger bad.
And it's Giratina.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Rubber the biggie bigger
bumpers. But
okay.
It's Trainer Red.
Guys, there's a horror franchise that is very near and dear to me. And we were talking about negative space in the last 30, 40 minutes. That would be in this episode.
Yeah.
And how well it creates that atmosphere, that ambiance of helplessness or whatever. Hopefully this will work. We'll see if it will.
For those of you who are joining us on the audio platforms, Lyle has just put on a whatever the fuck this is.
Oh, it's Dead Space.
It's Dead Space, yeah.
That's a great.
Dead Space
that is
helmet.
a great horror series.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. He will be talking through this mask for the rest of the episode.
Sounds fine.
No, I'm actually talking about Daft Punk, the horror game.
With the lights and everything.
That's actually really hot.
Yeah, I bet.
But no, Dead Space, stupidly good. Came out a long time ago, originally for the Xbox 360 and PS3. By a game company who it was Visceral Games, which is no longer in business, unfortunately, because as what most big higher ups who don't understand anything about video games and their consumers do, is that our last installment didn't do as good as the first 2 combined. We're just gonna shut you guys down and get rid of you.
Yeah, it's not enough that we made $1 billion. We have to make $3 billion more than last time
on the one game verse. Anyway,
yeah,
Dead Space is fucking phenomenal. The box art was amazing, and honestly, I knew nothing about it and saw the box art, and that's truly what drew me in. And it's a disembodied hand, like just ripped to shreds and floating through space.
Oh,
I was like,
wow!
I was like, that's actually really cool looking. Checked it out and played it, and it's very much survival horror. Like you're playing as an engineer who's coming to this planet, this mining ship in space. They pop planet corks to mine the resources. And you're, like I said, you're an engineer. You're coming to, like, your girlfriend got stationed on this ship, and you're excited to see her because you haven't seen her in 6 months. And so you get to the ship, and you kind of crash land on the ship, and something has pretty much killed anything and everyone on the ship. Has transformed them into
dead space.
Yeah, has transformed them into these monsters that can only they get more damaged if you shoot off their limbs. Like you have to shoot their arms and legs off because like shooting them in the head and shooting them in the body doesn't really do that much damage. So you're just wasting ammo on your bigger targets, which I think adds to the tension. So I hate that. They have long, thin, bladey like hands and skinny legs, and you're just like, oh god, smaller targets.
If I am terrified, I'm not gonna be able to aim at a dude's leg.
Exactly.
I'm gonna empty an entire clip into this man's back if I can help it.
But that's why I thought it was cool with the weapons that they give you, because most of your weapons are engineer tools. So like the pistol that you get is called a plasma cutter, and each weapon has like an alternate firing mode. So like your pistol has like 3 dots that like are up and down as like your red dot sight, so to speak. It's the pistol's alternate fire is to switch it like horizontal. Okay. So like and it's split second too. So you can you can quickly go from like, okay, I blew off your arm, but you're still coming at me. Like let me just switch it horizontal so that I can shoot off a leg now.
That's pretty sick.
A couple other weapons are very unique in helping with those kinds of situations, but like the music really only gets tense for like the jump scary type moments, but they're not necessarily predictable jump scary type moments. Obviously, because I know the series like forward and backwards now, but like back in the day, like it actually kind of terrified me a little bit. And it's also interesting because the antagonists, I pluralize that because there's like a religious aspect to the game. So like the thing that turned everything into monsters is an object that was like worshipped by this religious sect that was founded on Earth, and the captain of the ship that you crash land on was a unitologist as well, and he's like like people don't realize that he's like he came to this planet with a purpose, when in actuality people are like, oh, we're just a run-of-the-mill mining mission.
Okay.
So there's a whole like and you run into survivors like on the ship, but you're like, where you're like, can I trust you? Like, are you a unitologist? Like, are you literally just gonna like strap me down and experiment me because of convergence, which is something that turning into a monster essentially.
Are you gonna pluck my pubic hairs?
Super good franchise.
Please do not.
The second game. The second game was the best in the franchise. It really delved into that latter aspect that I just talked about, because you get brought back to Earth. And anyway, the third game pulled a Resident Evil 5 and 6, where it just was predominantly action the entire goddamn time, and there was less survival horror.
Isn't there a mission in the second one where you're just like, oh god, space is too much for me. I need an emergency eye surgery, but don't fuck it up.
So, in a roundabout way, yes. So like towards the end of Dead Space 2, you slide yourself onto like an operating table, and you have to laser guide a needle like as it gets closer and closer to your eye, and the laser will turn green if you're in the right spot, but because like your heart rate, like you're like, oh fuck, a needle's like getting closer to my eye, but you have to do this. Like if it goes into the red, it like you have to like fix it quickly, or else the needle will just like kind of just jut into you and just like kind of kill you. Dead Space is also really known for like unique death sequences with its enemies.
It's pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up, but
it's a great game series.
That's the only thing that I remember that game series for, is just like, oh god, space is too much. I have to potentially stab myself in the eye, and I'll get millions of views for it on YouTube.
But that for me, remember that feeling of helplessness that I talked about. So like you have to. There are times when you have to manage your oxygen, because you actually have to go out into space, and you have to like worry about, because every time you get hit, it knocks away some of your oxygen, because now you're heavily breathing more. And you might not have time to get back to like one of the wall-mounted like oxygen refill stations, or you might have to go into an area
hit by in space.
Aliens that are also like on monsters that are like, oh man, the little babies that like crawl on the wall, and then they'll like jump out at you and like fire shit at you. Yeah.
I was hoping that you were just a random passing asteroid, like fuck. Ow!
Just like space debris. Did you shut that window, Kevin?
5% oxygen lost.
That's the scariest thing in space, is just random things that could possibly come by and hit you at any moment. like on Earth. We could die at any moment, every one of us.
That being said, there's another game series that I was talking about.
What helmet are you going to pull out, Dan?
Life is horror.
I don't unfortunately have a helmet to put on, but what I do have is
mine.
I might actually have to at some point. That's pretty sick. But we've been talking about a feeling of helplessness the entire time, this entire episode.
Life.
What better game illustrates the fact that you have no other choice but to run, hide, or die than Outlast 1 and 2?
Oh, yes.
Not familiar with
Yes,
Outlast.
those are really, really good. I streamed I streamed one of them. I think it was Outlast 1. I streamed that one for a while.
Outlast 1 and Whistleblower are far worse, but also better than the second one, in my opinion.
Yeah, those both used the like the night vision on the camera a lot.
They started using the camera. You can still use a camera in the second one, but you really you're just like, you know what? This is really bad. I'm in a bad way right now. No one's gonna watch this. If they do, they will have found this camera 50 years from now. Hoping to God no natural disasters makes it unusable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting out of this. And then there's like a thing with a baby at the end. It's just like, oh yes, the child of the whatever the fuck. And he's just like, I'm dead.
There was a point with Outlast
like, what the fuck?
1 that I got to where it became predictable, and then I was just kind of done with it. Because I was like, this isn't even scary anymore. It just felt like grinding through this weird freaking maze.
Well, how long?
It gets to that point.
How many iterations of like the same type of game can you do before it kind of starts to become a parody of itself? Like,
yeah, like
you
Borderlands.
just kind of know what to. Well, I was talking about horror specifically.
No, I get that.
But hey, I mean, that's a conversation for a different day.
Fable.
But
Sorry,
I mean,
again. Keep going. I'm done
Matthew,
now.
please.
I'm done now.
Please.
That's a great point, and it made me think about some good stuff. Fuck you, Fable. Sorry. Moving on.
The worst horror game.
Mr. Fable?
Mario games.
But it's like you were saying, it doesn't even become scary anymore. I mean, to me it still would be, because I'm scared of anything that moves quickly towards me. But
Move.
If that ain't the fucking truth for a lot of us, man.
I want you to find that point. I want you to because that's it's simultaneously the best and worst part of a horror video game.
I have found that point. It's Luigi's Mansion.
Play like
no, I mean a real
nights
horror
of
game.
the original Five Nights at Freddy's, and you'll get there.
Excuse me, Matthew.
Hey, we've already established
established it's a real horror game.
No.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is I want to keep moving that goalpost back a little bit farther.
No,
that way you can never fully.
You promised.
That's a bumper sticker, dude.
I spend probably way too much energy in my brain every day just thinking of different types of video games or different types of horror that are just a little bit scarier than like Luigi's Mansion, just to see if I can dip your toes in a little bit, because I want you to be able to enjoy it. I want you to find the same enjoyment out of horror that I have, and being somebody that used to hate horror, avoid it at all costs, and now I'm at a place where like I enjoy diving into a new horror game sometimes. I don't do it all the time, but like it's fun, and it's also way more fun with friends, I think.
If that's how you feel, get on Game Jolt. Like, do the fucking indie horror game crawl, dude. It's fun. Rolling the dice and seeing if it's shit or not.
BioShock would be like the closest thing, because BioShock isn't horror, but it has a lot of like horror-ish elements that can like introduce you to that, and in a much more safe.
Out, the lights are flickering.
Yeah.
Like you got maybe an enemy or two climbing on the walls. Like it's not designed to be like a gore fest / like you're in for the ride of your life roller coaster. Like no, this is a story first-person shooter that's in a utopian style utopian style setting that just happened to collapse.
Yeah. And that's I think that would be a really good place for you to start, or just staying in the van during Phasmophobia.
Yeah, maybe we'll start with that.
And even if you didn't want to do BioShock 1, you could this is just my opinion, you can play BioShock Infinite not having played BioShock 1 or 2.
I was going to say, go for
BioShock Infinite has more a lighthearted setting because it takes place in a city in the clouds.
Yeah.
Right.
So like the sun is out half the game.
You know what? Would you play Slender the 8 Pages if it wasn't Slenderman that was coming after you?
But one of the Teletubbies.
Wow, Lyle. Okay,
No.
same brain cell. We love that. I was gonna mention Slendy Tubbies 1 through 6.
That might be scarier, actually.
Yeah.
Revenge
Not
of the Tinky Winky.
not 2 through 6. I promise you.
The whole horror Tinky Winky, the horror Teletubbies really makes me think of Poppy's Playtime, Poppy's Playtime, or Poppy's Playhouse.
Dude, what a good game.
That shit is so stupid. It's a good game, but Jesus Christ, is it dumb?
There's something about the bastardization of like a childhood, or like what personifies like a childhood mascot or icon, or a toy or something like that.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Exactly. The what was that train game called? The
Charlie something.
There's Charlie the whatever. I know.
Choo Choo Charles.
Choo Choo Charles. Choo Choo Charles.
Yeah.
That
I
one looks
love
fun.
that game, dude.
That one looks so good.
It's a spider train or whatever.
It's on my wish list.
I've played a little bit of it. It's fun as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not looking for like jump scary, like psychological bullshit, which, by the way, bumper sticker idea, Luigi's Mansion is a psychological horror. I just wanted to mention that up front because I didn't have a chance to before.
It's like Pokemon is an FPS.
If you want something that's like a playable version of like a scary roller coaster at like Universal Studios or something like that, play Choo Choo Charles, dude. That shit is a rush.
Jesus.
It's also funny because it's just the concept.
It's ridiculous.
Is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's what if Thomas the Tank Engine was evil and a spider?
Yep.
Looking
And
into
you have
like
a Gatling gun.
Looking into like the making like
Jesus Christ!
I leaned away from the mic. How
Do
did
you not have a mute button?
wouldn't be a horror game. Wouldn't be a horror game episode if Lyle didn't have to just fuck. We're not gonna say anything.
It wouldn't be a true episode if Lyle didn't peek the hell out of his mic at least once.
None of the
Holy
lines
shit.
go down in the waveform. It's just a solid bar across the entire waveform.
It really is. That's amazing.
That was not intended.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. That being said, something about the idea of like taking like familiar places or like something that would invoke like nostalgia and making it kind of like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
What do y'all think of liminal spaces? Like that whole trend.
Yeah. Those are all right. Oh, back rooms.
Like
right?
back rooms, I guess.
There were some
liminal
really
spaces
good,
is more my gig.
Wait,
indie games that came out
back
that
up,
were like the back rooms.
What are we talking about?
Have you heard of liminal spaces?
Well, is this a concept or is this a game?
It's a concept.
It's a concept. Liminal Spaces is not a game, but there were a lot of indie games that were created around the idea
of it. Yeah,
it's
of liminal
a
spaces.
room or a space that kind of promotes unease.
Yes,
like the coloring of it, the lighting of it, the general design or like lack thereof. It's a room that it is not scary. Yeah. It is not, oh, there's like a monster in here or a ghost. It's literally
off.
just, it feels like dank and moist.
Or I mean, like sort of like the back of like a gas station at night.
Think of like an empty mall that has no stores open. Everything is pretty much empty, but it's still open to the public. Lights on and everything.
Lyle, have you heard of the back rooms?
No.
Yeah, so the back rooms are like a specific liminal space. You've got kind of like beige walls. There's like no furniture. If there is, it's like one thing, and it's not in a in like a good spot that would make any sense for it to be in.
Dim lighting,
and it's dim lighting, like dim fluorescent lighting, and like kind of like carpet that like it feels like there have been things that were here, but they've all been like moved.
Like
now.
An abandoned office space, maybe?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like an abandoned office space. Yeah, like the lore was like if you like lean too hard onto a wall, you like no clip into it.
Like cubicles for miles. And,
I'll tell you this: the back rooms is like the modern day SCP Foundation, and I love that so much.
Yeah.
I adore the backroom stuff. Because like some of the music that they have with it is kind of like this. The aesthetic is something that I've seen before, but it's like old school, like Windows Vista, like type shit.
What kind of game concept is made out of this?
Okay, so in the it is a horror game. People have made like backrooms horror games because the backrooms came out of a creepypasta. The idea of the backrooms was a creepypasta to start.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yes, it's unsettling because it's a very weird kind of space and there isn't anything there, but it's a kind of space where it feels like you could turn around at any point.
Yep.
And there would be something there.
Yeah.
Like it's quiet, it's weird, it's
kind of like a forced jump scare almost.
No,
like an inevitable jump scare. Like you're exploring.
Like you're anticipating something that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But regardless of that,
well, some of them they do have these weird things that are like following you around in there too.
Yes, and I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of people kind of like not really like the whole liminal space like backrooms type games because putting actual like creatures or monsters into like, the backrooms kind of defeats the point.
Yeah. Breaks that immersion that you're trying to create.
Well, it defeats the point of the liminal space.
Right.
The liminal space is supposed to be unsettling by itself.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be immersed in that liminal space with the unsettlingness. So putting something in there that's inevitable or that's chasing you that you know of is contradictory.
Like I can see why people would like it, but at the same time, like I said, I don't play these games, but I've read like people reviewing it and stuff like that, and they're just like it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Going in depth as it has also defeated the purpose. It's just like I can't tell you how many TikToks I've seen where the guy's just like how to no clip into level 0003, and I'm just like, bro, you're stuck in this endless office. How the fuck did you find this for one? And how did you get back to tell me about it?
Yeah. I was going to say that
does that level have Wi-Fi?
To speak a little bit of Lyle's language about that feeling of helplessness, the thing that's particularly creepy about it for me is because it feels like you could just go on and on in that area and it's just infinite and there's no way out. Yeah. And that's
I don't so maybe that's because
the point, but
maybe it's because like that I've not played any of those types of games, so I can't really relate, but the concept as I understand from how you guys explained it, like it doesn't, I can see how someone would be freaked out by that kind of thing. For me, it doesn't really do anything. Like I don't think it would. So I don't think I would enjoy that style of horror.
Right.
To each their own.
I know, absolutely. It's interesting though. Like especially since I'd never really heard of it.
But that's also the thing is like, kind of like I was saying before, I don't think the point of liminal spaces or the backrooms is supposed to be horror. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be unease. Unease.
But it is scarier than Luigi's Mansion, Valley. Which is on the horror spectrum.
Okay, friends, and with that,
last thing. Wow. No. Last thing.
You already jump
scared
us.
Is it about Majora's Mask?
What's scary to me in terms of like unease and unsettlingness is open ocean. So like that scene
Subnautica?
That scene. Yes, I will not play Subnautica. I will not.
I don't like open ocean
because
in real life,
Raft, Subnautica, that scene in Finding Nemo when Dory's speaking to the whale, that shit scares me. That shit scares me.
The abyss.
Like space, I'll sit in a spacesuit off a space station and look out into space. Like that shit's cool. When it comes to the ocean, no.
It's the same thing, but blue.
But that's okay. So maybe that is the thing. Like maybe that's the unsettlingness. If there was like one of those subliminal, liminal, whatever, lime in a coconut, shake 'em up type of games. And it was just the ocean. Like that would absolutely have its effect on me.
Yeah, it's Subnautica.
Anyway, I'm done.
Okay.
Play us out,
Hey,
Steej.
thank you for I'm trying. Thank you for watching this episode.
Pokemon.
I appreciate everyone watching this episode. Thank you for joining us for the one thing that I'll never do, and that is playing horror games. Thank you to Lyle, Matt, and Dan for talking to me about the things and maybe convincing me to try again someday with baby steps. We'll figure it out.
We'll baby step
Maybe
you
you'll
into
see it here. Who knows?
Bee Simulator,
a
horror game.
We are on all platforms that you can think of, and if you can think of it and we're not on there, let us know, and we'll put our podcast on there so you can listen to it. How are you listening to it now? I don't know. Also, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at oddlycoded. Friends, thank you for joining me, and we will see you next time.
Good night.
See you later.
Lyle won't see you next time.
Because he'll be.
That sounded really threatening.
He'll be in the back rooms.
He'll be in the back rooms, yeah.
We'll see you later tonight. Goodbye. Just as you're falling asleep.
It's just a floating ass. You just wake up and it's just and it just disappears.
Not pink eye.